Is playing Queen c2 in this position a trash move? Well, according to Cedric, yeah, it is, and he's been currently, to be fair, stepping on my dick about this move, and so I promised that I would address it in the comments. So let us do a proper investigation into whether Queen c2 is bad. Now, according to Stockfish, let me switch on the fish, right? In this position, it's plus 0.3. So white has a slight edge because it's white to move. White starts the game plus 0.3. Okay, so we are absolutely no worse with this reversed Sicilian setup here. Now, if I play Queen to c2, it goes down to minus 0.1. So black has already equalized in the position. And the question before the court is the surprise value of Queen c2 worth it? Well, we shall find out. So, I mean, I've got this set to 1800, 2000, 2200 and 2500 and not blitz or bullet, right? And is Queen c2, interestingly, Queen c2 here, it scores 50% for white against 46 for black. So it's okay, you know, at this level. The higher up you get, the more draws you'll get and whatever. But the key thing is it's played 0% of the time. But I think that the percentage, the win-lose percentage ratio incorporates the surprise value. Okay, so you can't say, well, you know, it does well, but then you can add on it. No, you got the surprise value in there. Okay. Now, what about the master database? Because surely that is the ultimate go-to. Well, interestingly, if you put the masters database on in Lichess, well, lo and behold, Queen c2 has been played 5 times. And with a 60% win rate for white. Boom! So, yeah. So you might say then that Queen c2 is absolutely, categorically the best move for white here. Well, obviously not. Because again, it's played 0% of the time. We've got 41,000 games from this position, and Queen c2 has been played 5 times. And that's because it simply gives away the advantage to, well, the small advantage that white starts the game with, and allows black to equalise from that point. Having said that, this all looks very dull as well, you know, with 45% win rate, with knight c3 being the most common move, and then g3 going for the kingside fianchetto, kingside castle. There you go. Another thing that I found interesting as well is that here we have the position with Queen c2 played in the Lichess database at 2500 level. Zilch. Zilch-a-rooney, right? You look at Blitz, 45 games. But black tends to win at the 2500 level, which is maybe around 2000 level equivalent on chess.com. I don't know, right? But that's that's what I want to aim to achieve. And bullet, 91 games. And white does okay. So that suggests to me that at the expert level, as you're breaking through into the expert level, 2000, I would say that's expert. It's a bullet weapon. It's not actually even that good at blitz, not even that good at rapid. Now, at 1800 Lichess, so 1500 whatever, chess.com, maybe it's a weapon. As you get higher up the ladder, maybe it ain't. Okay? So, I did promise I'd have a look at it. And what I've done is I've had a look, and I've looked at the more correct moves. Now, I'm not going to bother analysing what's wrong with Queen c2 if we're not going to keep doing it. Okay? And this is why we are having this discussion today. Okay, now, there is another line. Okay, so we're not necessarily throwing Queen C2 out as an idea altogether, but follow me on this. Okay, we have the English, we have the King's English, this reverse Sicilian setup. Now, most common moves here for white, as we've seen, what have we got this set to? Right, I'm going to now set it to, because it's got cookies, so it copies across the different tabs, doesn't it? Okay, and we're not interested in blitz at all, Precious. We're just going to look at rapid and above. Okay, right with me. Most common moves, as we've seen, Knight C3. Okay, yeah, Knight C3 fights for the light squares in the center, along with this pawn, and the other one is G3. And they're both jolly good, right? E3, yeah, it's not so great. And according to the machine, G3 is best, E3 is actually second best, then Knight C3. Okay? And finally D3, Knight F3 is kind of equal already for black. So let's say we do this. What's the most common move from black? Well, they're going to play Knight F6, right? We're controlling these light squares. Very easy move in the opening. Just one to remember. Your opponent plays out their knight. You kind of mirror that with your own knight, saying, I'm not going to just give you control of these squares in the middle. Again, the most common move again here from white is G3. But remember, when we're looking at 1800 up and in longer format games, okay, Knight F3, however, scores better at 54%, and 54 is a good number. So what if we do that? What's black going to play? Well, the most common move played 63% of the time, because what are we doing now? What are we doing? We're looking at the dark squares in the center. Most common move from black, Knight C6. And here, boys and girls, we have the King's English for knights variation. And follow me. If we look now on Stockfish's lines, E4 is an interesting one, going for this kind of Maroczy bind thing, but there's no pawn here. So E4, just slight advantage for white. It's got G3, it's got D3, it's got E3, all 0, 0, 0, and look, our old friend Queen C2 on 0. And check it out, when we play that at this level, 53% average win rate for white against 42, and what's more, every line from here is just better for white. Every line is better for white, apart from maybe G6. So G6 is one to look at, but G6 is played 4% of the time. So this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking, that we go for the queen to C2 idea, because it is on the rarer side. Let's see how rare it is. Okay, 0% again. Right? Are you happy, mon ami? You like? Okay. So this is my idea. Now, so from when I looked at this, from 450,000 games, you get 74,000 will end up in this position, which is about 1 in 6. So that ain't bad, right? And then you get to throw in your super rare Queen C2, and we're doing absolutely fine. And the computer doesn't even disapprove. It says E4 is 0.1 of a pawn stronger than this. Right, so if I know this, my opponent doesn't. Happy days. Okay, I'm going to very, very, very quickly show you 4 lines in this. I've prepared a study on it, but I also want to look at 3 sample games as well. So this is the most common move here from. Oh, hang on. So no, we play this. Okay, most common move now from black is Bishop C5. But we can easily just meet that with E3, right? Then they might push D6. Well, the most likely move is D6. And so here we've just blunted this bishop straight away. So, well, what's that bishop doing there now? How do you justify this bishop? Plus, now you've locked it outside the pawn chain, out in the cold. So when we've got a couple of pieces eyeing up this juicy square, and our queen's on C2, right, A3. Prophylactic move. We saw that when we were messing around with Queen C2. And the most common move is a6 here, after which we can just carry on, right? b4 is fine here, bishop e2 and castles is fine, and white wins 55% against 41. Okay? Seems good. And we're going to look at a sample game in that line, as we are going to look in this. Now this one's an absolute beauty, I think, isn't it? So we have all four. Now there's many ways we could get to this. Black might develop one of his knights first, and then push e5, or whatever way round. So there's multiple ways to get to here. We play queen c2, and black thinks that's odd. Instead of bishop c5, we have this. Now the entire point of playing 1c4 is to prevent this move. So we take, right? They take. And now, what would you play here? Now we're on move 5, we're getting into some proper tactics here. And remember, this is the second most common line played by black from that position, okay? The move, boys and girls, is knight takes e5. Grabbing a pawn, giving up a knight, they will take. But now queen e4. We pin this knight to the king, and also we add double eyes on this. So what are they going to do? Well, they'll capture here and hit our queen. Okay, and now, I mean, you have to take the knight, right? 100%. Anything else is actually losing. So you have to take the knight. Right? They will now block the check. And now you grab this knight. You can grab it with either pawn, is fine. And white is slightly better, but according to the machine, plus 0.3, this position's only been reached 4 times, and white has won 3 of those games. So I think that's a bit of fun. Anyway, let's have a look at another one. Prepared all of this for you this morning, guys, and it's only 7:45 in the morning, right? That's what I'm prepared to do for you guys, okay? So out come the 4 knights, queen c2. All right, we're looking at the third most common now, and we have bishop b4. Right, so now again, look at this. I mean, who'd have thought the English opening could be so spicy? You know, with our reputation for very bland food. Do you know what I mean? This is not the blandest thing on the menu, guys. Look at this. So this is a knight fork. So we're attacking this bishop, attacking this knight. Right, also attacking c7 potentially. Okay, they will now bring the bishop back. So we've made them burn a tempo. You've lost a move. When the bishop goes to that square, what do? We push e3 and say, well, your bishop is pointless, my friend. They will go ahead and castle. And now, what have we got? We've got a knight and a bishop here, got a queen here. We do not want the knight coming in here, really. So a3, prophylactic, right? Most common move is a5. And now, knight to g5, because we are threatening. We have a knight in the center. We're threatening to take out this knight, and then bang, throw in the queen with gusto and checkmate. Now we have forced a concession on their part. We trade off here. Knight comes back hitting queen and bishop, so queen has to go back to e7, right? And now we just push up. What's the point of this? Well, it's not so much to defend this, because it's already defended by the queen and the bishop. It's that we want to play bishop b2 and fianchetto, right? Target this pawn and target these weak dark squares around the king. Looks good. They play f5. We trade off the knight for the bishop. We fianchetto. This is the most common move again. We're going a bit deep down this line, but hey. And now we can hit the queen, tradey. But hang on, haven't you got 2 attackers on this pawn? Well, maybe you have. Okay, but here, now actually black is actually better in this position. Okay, and it's only been reached once anyway, so we won't go any further down there. But it's a heap of fun, right? This is not a boring line. Just one other thing I'd like to show you as well. The advanced variation. This is not clever, okay? So we bring out our knights, okay, and they push the pawn, seeking to annoy our knight. This is not great. This is already inaccurate because we play knight g5. We're not really eyeing f7, but we do have two attackers now on this pawn. So what they're going to do, that is not the way to go at all, right? Because why did we push c4 and move one, right? Anytime they push d5, you just grab, knight grabs. Now, you have to be kind of accurate here. The most common move here, played nearly all the time, is knight g takes e4. And that's absolutely fine, wins 63% of the time. But even betterer than that, queen a4 check. Check this out. Right, they block with a c-pawn. Now you take with this knight. And this position has been reached 5 times, and white has won 5 times. Excellent. So, let us now look at, so I've pulled up some games where white wins from in each of these lines. Right, happy? So this is the first line. Okay, oh, interesting, they played queen c2. So this is, who is this? Mike Bear, rated 2082 against _Hunter X, rated 2089. So, serious players. Okay, they bring their bishop out here, which is already a bit odd considering what we've said, right? It's staring at the little mini pyramid. a3, the prophylactic move, is played now, right? Why? Because we don't want the knight coming in. It's going to annoy us, right? They could have played knight in here first, I guess. But knight b4 is actually pretty good. Knight b4 is pretty winning for black. So interesting. So a3, a6, which is what we saw, and now they finally develop the fourth knight. We hit the bishop. Bishop retreats all the way back with fianchetto. Can you see the same? All the moves that we've seen are just rolling out here. Castles. Now bishop d3. We can't take this pawn now because it is defended twice, but you know, maybe there's possibilities. It's a nice open diagonal. This is not the most accurate from black. h4 not good. Oh, is this a sacrifice? Goodness me, what's going on here? See, the things that you can learn by just watching other people's games, and the computer doesn't even say that's a mistake or inaccurate. We take, and now look at white's king is still in the middle. So opening up the H file, who benefits cui bono from that? Yeah, we know. And that's a blunderama. A blunderoo. Damn. Okay, takes the bishop, but go on, how are you going to stop this now? That's a blunder. We've got a discovered attack by the bishop if we want it, but hang on. So if queen here, apparently g6 had to be played there. Let's see how it pans out. Queen in with check forces the king to f8. That's a blunder. Apparently, knight d5 hitting the queen and covering the escape square was the move you had to do. God, 2000s can be dumb, can't they? We're all dumb. We're all human. That's what's so great about it. Okay, and now knight d5 with a fork, and I guess that's a resignation. So that was fun. I haven't looked at that game before. Neither have I looked at this one. So we're going to look at... So this first one was a bit odd, but it was a bishop c5 line-ish. Okay, transposed. Transposed. Okay, let's look at this one. Second most common line, which as we've seen is d5. And d5 isn't great. We have to take, surely, yes. Knight takes. And now, knight takes is the most winning. I'm not looking at the engine. Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, this is the knight sack. Okay, yeah, love it. Queen comes out. They take, we have to take the knight with the queen, yes? Yes. Queen blocks in this case. Queen takes. And now let's take stock. Right, where are black's pawns? He's got no d pawn, no e pawn, and the only piece developed now on move 9 is her queeniness. White, on the other hand, has both central pawns, has given up only the c-pawn, and also only has a queen out on the board. So I bet if we switch on the engine, yeah, nearly plus 1.5 in White's favour here, being a whole pawn up. So let's see how this one goes. Bishop out. Okay, so we're preparing to deploy the dark squared bishop. I don't think White's going to long castle here. Black does though, because why not? He's got 2 semi-open central files. Let's get the rook straight on there. This creates a backwards pawn on d3. This is the only game in this position. This is J.A. Bogar 65 against Boy Muratov P. Alright, queen comes out now. Maybe, I don't know, I'll at least pinning this pawn, but that bishop can't come out immediately. Kicks, retreats, fianchettos. Pawn in, that doesn't look clever. No, that's a blunder. Why is it a blunder? Because I guess after we take, we've got a bishop looking down at this. Do we? Just castles. That wasn't the most accurate. Bishop f4. Oh, bishop f4 was the best move here. Curious. Okay, so we castle. We have rook over. That's a mistake by the look of it, according to the engine. Now bishop f4. Jolly good, jolly good. And we're just crushing. We've got 2 excellent bishops. All black's junk is round the wrong side of the board. There's nothing defending these pawns. King defends that one. No one's defending that one at all. We come in with check. Nice. Good. Line up the... Easy. Easy peasy. Ooh! Right, and... Right. That's all she wrote. Let's forget about that one. We don't need to see the long drawn out death. Okay. Here's another. I can see this is a win by resignation as well. In the third most common line. Well, let's see what the third most common line is. Okay, so this is a kind of transposition. So here we see the knights coming out first and then the pawn. Right, and we don't have queen c2 immediately. We have e3. Bishop comes out here, then queen c2. Okay. So in previous games we've persuaded the bishop to go back up there with the move a3. Are we going to see the move a3? Castles, knight in with the fork, and the bishop moves back of its own accord, and now a3. Okay, so you can see the same kind of moving parts all going round. A5 is played here. We've seen a6 previously, and knight g5. Yeah, threatening to go in. G6, small concession. Trade e. Coming back with the fork, yeah, remember we saw that? And queen slides back. In our version, apparently the fish said no trade-off. Here it's saying b3 is good, bishop e2. Yeah, knight takes c5 at this level is not fantastic. We don't need to do that. So b3 was played. f5 is played. And now he trades. And now we fianchetto the bishop. Okay, slight edge for white here, even though he's not castled. But I don't know. How would you feel as black with these pawns? I mean, it's kind of a major claim over the space, but at the same time, that king's looking kind of shaky, eh? Okay, this is the move that we saw as well. Apparently giving up the pawn. And queen c3. So now this knight's going nowhere because we're going to go straight in there with mate. So what you going to do? I think we saw queen e7 check. Yes. King d2, that is the best move. And now here, again, black has the slight edge according to the machine, but only half a pawn. Right? But in real life, let's see what happens. Okay, pawn comes out to defend the knight. Rook on the open file with tempo. Yep. Grabbing in the center. Aggression. Oh, the knight can't take. Yeah. Okay, g3. Yeah. And off goes Harry. And along comes Harry. Beep, beep. Whoa. Queen on the open file. Oh, and this is a blunder. That's a thunder blunder. Why? Let's try and figure out why. Can you sack the rook on h5? It is. It's rook takes h5 is the move. If queen takes, which is what happens, let's see. Come on, let's see. Bishop c4 check. Yep. King g7 is the only move. Bishop takes there. Takes, and in comes the queen. Wow, defended by the pawn. No. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And they do play on a little bit longer, but that after the king rook fork. Whoa. Okay. So what do we think? Cédric, je m'intéresse à ton avis. Okay, let's. I think this looks good. Now, clearly, let's just go back to our study, right? There are many ways that it can go from here, but I'm happy to explore and try and find interesting lines from here that are not weak or dubious for the long term. Okay, so hope you're happy, everybody. Hope this was interesting. A little bit of theory on a Sunday morning. It's 8 o'clock now, time for my breakfast, and I'll see you soon.